Carolyn Dube here. What's the play for today? Well, today I'm painting some pumpkins, and along the way I learned a couple of things. Turns out, well, I'm not the most patient person in the world, which you might think, no kidding, really? We all know that, but sometimes I kind of forget how impatient I can be. What I'd planned to do was take a whole bunch of little pumpkins and paint them all the colors of the rainbow. So imagine them lined up like a rainbow. Except that the pumpkins we got weren't exactly the ones I expected. I think we got more gourds than pumpkins, and that led to something that I needed to learn, which then led to a couple other things, and then it led to me being impatient. But in the end, what I got were really messy, wonderful, totally me, happy pumpkins that are even better than what I'd planned. Well, enough of my talking. Come take a look and see what I learned while making these pumpkins. The first thing that I learned is that yellow paint does not cover up everything. So I had these little pumpkin gourd thingies. They were just the right size. And sure, they had a bunch of color and pattern on them from Mother Nature. That shouldn't have been a problem, right? I just painted right over it with the yellow and the pattern just kept on coming through. So what I probably should have done was added a layer of gesso if I wanted to block that pattern. So lesson number 1, the pattern will show through. So how did I fix this oops? All I did was put some gesso on top. Put it right over the yellow paint. That'll work. And then I'm also going to wise up and put some gesso on top of this other one I still have to paint so that the pattern doesn't come through on that. See, I'm catching on. I'm learning from that oops. It was an outstanding opportunity presenting suddenly to make sure that I primed the next one before I painted it. Well, here they are, all nice and white and dry. Well, they should be completely dry, but we'll just call them about 95% dry. We can't possibly wait for them to completely dry. That's a crazy concept in my life. What's the second thing that I learned? That if you put a whole bunch of wet paint on a pumpkin and then put it on a piece of paper to dry, it will stick to that paper. So, what do I do about this now? I don't really paint the bottoms. I'll go near to the bottom so that when it's sitting on the table, everybody thinks it's painted all the way. But on the underside, it actually usually doesn't cover the entire thing because what I found is it sticks to the table too much or to the paper or wherever I'm putting it. And I also don't want to have to deal with tipping it and waiting for parts to dry. So I, for the most part, just paint close to the bottom, but not actually fill up the whole thing. And the only person that's ever going to know that I didn't paint the entire pumpkin, well, besides you and I. Well, and that one relative I have. But just that person and you guys. Nobody else will know. I wanted to paint the entire rainbow and pumpkin, so a pumpkin in each color. And yes, I do see the humor in me painting a pumpkin orange, but it just wasn't going to look right if it wasn't a painty orange when everything else was all painted. So I painted the pumpkin orange. Notice the bottom, not completely done. Doesn't have to be. That way it dries a little bit faster and it doesn't stick to the paper. So what's the third thing that I learned painting pumpkins? Well, what you're seeing me do here is drip acrylic ink right onto the pumpkins. I splattered on some white paint on there. I'm dripping ink. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I don't have any patience. If you've seen some of like the painted pumpkins, the ones by Alyssa Burke are just absolutely stunning and beautiful and amazing. And I don't have that kind of patience. This is what I like to do. I like to watch things drip and run and splat and splatter. Not precision, not careful. I just want to make a mess with color. So that's what I'm going to do with this. Well, everything I've been doing before this was acrylic inks, and now I'm moving into spray inks. Basically, I think I'm going to throw the entire kitchen sink at these pumpkins. My original plan of having one neatly colored like each color in the rainbow, yeah, I think I'm throwing that one out the window. I'm hitting this thing with Dilution spray inks, the Deco Arts spray inks. Of course, I want to turn them that way, we don't want to ignore any side of our little dribbly pumpkin here. Now I'm starting to really get into this playing with color thing on this, and I am absolutely going overboard. So there is just more. Right there I'm hitting it with some high flow paint because things weren't runny and drippy enough. I need to add some more stuff to it. So I've got that white on there. You can see how the colors are all just smearing and running. And this is, I guess one could say, addictive because I don't want to stop. I keep going and going, and I'm even noticing a bunch of the colors puddling in the center of the pumpkin. And what do? I just put more stuff on it, and I just keep hitting it and hitting it. Now, if you've ever used spray inks, you do know that when you spray them, there always tends to be the overspray or the mess that goes places. And that is absolutely happening here, and it is getting to some great little specks and speckles of color that I couldn't control. Heck, I wouldn't want to control. Those are just little bits heading in places as I completely coat and cover these pumpkins. Well, thanks for joining me for today's play. If you've enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that like button. And if you'd like to see more of my videos, hit that subscribe button. That way you'll never miss when I have a new video out. And of course, there's more. You can head on over to my blog at acolorfuljourney.com, where not only do I have blog posts that go along with videos like this, but I also have a free newsletter that has some goodies and treats with it too. Thanks for being a part of this colorful journey.